All right, guys, it is time to talk about another watch. This is the Zodiac Super Seawolf Liberty London Special Edition. I think they kind of refer to it as the Liberty Edition. This was loaned in from my good friend Alex over at the Watch and Cut channel. He absolutely loves this watch. It's one of his favorites. Stay tuned, stay with me, and we'll see if I agree or disagree. He sent it to me on the purple tropic strap that it comes with because his wrist is smaller than mine. And I have a couple of other watches of his here on bracelet that I can barely get on. So this one he wanted me to wear, which I have worn. And so he put it on this tropic strap. Tropic straps are not really my favorite. I just don't really like the look. And typically, and let's just do a wrist shot right now before we get too far along. Typically, tropic straps for me are either one hole too tight or one hole too loose. So there it is. For me, one hole too tight. Yeah. This is a 7¼ inch wrist, my 7¼ inch wrist. And this works, except I like my watches to move and breathe and whatnot. For me personally, I like it to kind of shake a little bit. I want it to kind of ride up my arm when I'm moving. And so this one is a little tight on that particular hole. So if I move it down a hole, now it's going to move on my wrist, but it's going to go all the way around. And well, that's too loose for me. So I need a hole just in the middle, and it'd probably be perfect as far as the fit. But there you can see it. It wears really well. And it is a cool looking watch. I do like the purple. Like I would rock it on the purple strap. And the Lume is actually purple. Let's just jump on the Lume right now too, right? Probably I got to blast it here with the UV. Let me pull it off the camera so you guys are not blinded. And I'm filming during the day. This is the real time on the watch. So it's not totally dark in my studio. I do have some kind of blacked out shades, but they don't really, make it dark. But it is purple Lume. The minute hand is more of a green and a green pip at the top at the 12 o'clock on the bezel. All right, so let's dive into some of the specs. I'm not going to give you everything, I don't think. I don't know. We'll see as I go. But it is a 40 millimeter case is what it's advertised at. Now, it is a 40 millimeter on the bezel, but the bezel, zoom back in, overhangs. I think looking at it upside down is probably the easiest way to see that. It overhangs by basically a millimeter. So the bezel is 40, the case is 39. The crown is small at 6 millimeter. For my big ugly hands, it makes it really tough to facilitate that crown and to use that crown. Okay. So the bezel is got some traction on the edge, kind of coin edge-ish, but I'm going to be honest, it's not super grippy, and the bezel's pretty tight. The bezel's super tight and feels really good, and it has a good sound, and it lines up. I wish there was more grip to the bezel. If you had wet hands or gloves, might be a bit tough to move that bezel. So in a true diving situation, might be a problem. All right, so it's a 40 millimeter case, and I've got some size comparisons here for you in a minute. 48 millimeters lug to lug, 20 millimeter lug width. This tapers down to like 13 mil on this one. Sapphire crystal. It weighs in at 3.2 ounces. You watch people can do the gram conversion. I didn't do it. 200 meter water resist. So it's got all the things. It checks all of the boxes. I didn't look up the movement. I think it's an ETA modified version or something. I don't even really care too much. but that's just me. I like the look of it. I like the bezel look and feel of this watch. I don't like the crown action. It's hard for me to unscrew the crown. It's not super hard, but it is tiny. So winding it is a bit of a chore, a little uncomfortable. Okay. Pulling the crown out is a little tough at times. So yeah, it does hack, hand wind, and all that good stuff. It is an automatic. If you have smaller fingers, it's probably not going to be a big deal. The fact that the crown is small and that the bezel overhangs, it's tough to get in there to manipulate it. 40 millimeter is a good size for me. Okay. My Air King is a 40 millimeter. So you can see there the little bit of differences, right? A 40 millimeter is 40 millimeters, but because of the case shape, dimensions, just the heft and all of that, they can wear differently. I'm going to give you a quick wrist shot of this. You've all seen it before, but here it is again on my 7.25. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see that. Okay. So these are both 40 millimeter watches. The next one I'm going to bring in here is a 39 millimeter watch. And we'll just do the wrist shot first and then I'll zoom back in. This is the Grand Seiko SBG 0 something. I don't know. I can't remember, but here it is on my 7.25. This is a 39 millimeter. It wears a little small, but the Japanese watches typically wear small. They like their 39s and below because, well, the Japanese people and stuff, they're just smaller statured folks. And so 39 wears better for them. I bought this Grand Seiko because I wanted the F9 quartz movement. Super accurate. I think it's 5 or 10 seconds a year accuracy. Whereas the Super Seawolf, I think, is 10 to 15 seconds a day, plus or minus 15 seconds a day. The Rolex Air King is plus or minus 2 seconds a day. This is plus or minus 10 seconds a year. Crazy accurate. It's awesome. Okay. And then the last size comparison one here I have is your standard Seiko SKX 007 at 42 millimeters. This particular watch is for sale. Okay. This has the upgraded turtle movement, turtle dial. Like this is a turtle in an SKX case. It's got that Super Jubilee style bracelet from drawing a total blank. Wow. Strap code. So yeah, this is for sale. If you're interested in this, please hit me up. Total custom modded build. But here it is next to the 40 millimeter Zodiac Super Seawolf. And I'll give you a wrist shot of what the 42 millimeter looks like on my 7.25 inch wrist as well. This is a great watch. I've just kind of outgrown it. I've evolved from it and I've not worn it in, forever. But there is a 42 millimeter on my 7.25. So I have watches in the 40. Well, I have the Grand Seiko is 39, but I've got the 39 through 45.5. I think my Deep Black Planet Ocean is 45.5 millimeter, but it's all ceramic, so it wears super small. Anyway, I'm going to put, if you want more details on the Zodiac, on Liberty London company, they're like a fabrics company, started back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, in London, of course. And they do fashion and stuff like that. If you want more details on the history of Zodiac, on the history of Liberty London, please go check out Alex's video up here because he does a fantastic job and he'll give you all of the details you ever want to know on the Zodiac Super Seawolf.